At the end of last year, I announced that of the level design kit. Well, great news. All the way through the month of December, we updated it 3 times, trying to make sure there's even more great goodies for you to be able to design your best levels in. So let's talk about it. And there we go. Hey everyone, I hope you're well, playing and making the games that you all love. You're joining me, your host, lead level designer, Max Pears. It's an absolute pleasure to be talking with you all today. Thank you very much for joining. This one is going to be slightly shorter than usual. If you are listening to the podcast, it's probably better on YouTube, not only because you get to see my ugly mug, but it's more about me demonstrating more tools, more updates, more upgrades to the level design kit for it. I will best describe those changes in the podcast format, but just giving you a fair warning, if you want to see more of it, it's probably actually better to go over to the YouTube channel, which is just youtube.com/level design lobby. Now, before we get into it, I just want to share that this was the update. I'm really kind of sharing more of them. Now, obviously, for most of you who may follow me on Twitter, I've been talking about it, constantly sharing updates with it. But obviously, there are still stuff going on behind the scenes in myself and Caro aiding me in that of the level design kit. For those of you who may not know, we released that of the level design kit in the end of November, start of December, in which I've kind of accumulated all the stuff that I've learned over my career and put it into one great spot to help all of you improve on your level design work, to get you going and much more kind of showing when you're building your levels some more kind of professionalism and tools and tips to make it a lot easier for you as you start to progress as well. And I think that's one of the biggest things for it, is that it's not just only that of the elements with the more traditional architecture, but blueprints as well for it. Is the architecture, I've kind of kept the metrics much more similar in terms of the traditions that I found when making games. Obviously, different games have different metrics, but there have been a lot of similarities that I've noticed all the way through that of my career and kind of adjusting to them. So we're going to switch over now towards that of the kit, kind of demonstrate it and move further on with that one from there. Okay, I'm hoping that you can see what it is that we've got in store for you. Just a heads up, I am using this low poly shooter kit, and that will give me how I move throughout the space. So if you're wondering about that, I'll leave that in the description down below as well. I do recommend it in a later episode coming out soon on the podcast in terms of tips and kits that I recommend in general for it. But first things first, we're going to head over to that of the actual demonstration map for it and kind of show you what's kind of been changing with this for it. Now, in total, you have now over 300, I think it's like 350 assets included in this pack, right? What we've really done as well is the update to this is we've now added audio for extra feedback for it. So you'll be able to get certain blueprints, gameplay objectives will give audio cues as well to help with that of clear indication that actions have taken place for this as well. But I'm hoping you can see now we've also increased the amount of assets to help with that, from curved pieces, walls, floors, and we also took a new approach to that of the more organic kind of aspects as well. As everything grid based obviously suits more of when you're constructing buildings, city, architecture, much more rigid kind of structures. But obviously that's not the only games we have out there. And each studio is different in how they provide this and how you will do it. But one of the things myself and Caro kind of looked at, and speaking to other friends as well, was kind of different pieces that would allow for more organic flows and natures of them. And we have these little floor pieces available for it now that are much more natural, curved, so that way it doesn't feel that you're following a grid as much with that, so you can always adapt with it. Another thing we wanted to add were these kind of kit pieces for the cave as well. So in that kind of sense, just move the mic a little bit further away, I feel like I'm popping a little too loud. We also have these pieces with cave entrances, tunnels, and then a tunnel end for it, so you can kind of start to build out your own kind of cave system when you need that for it as well. So those elements there, I believe we've also added in other aspects with bridge pieces as well to help again go through more organic kind of spaces with it. Stalactites as well to fill out the caves as well. We've also set them up, you'll see a little bit later, in gameplay as well. We have that of new poses for the characters. We have now characters with, you're making something maybe more focused on melee combat. We have a pose to kind of help demonstrate combat for maybe enemies in that situation. Now from this as well, we've kind of built out a few other aspects for it too. One of the things that I noticed and got great feedback on was these importance, these kind of door frames and windows. One of the things that people really enjoyed is kind of highlighting the different routes with different colours. But the aspect they found is obviously if you don't go through this map and read what the importance level is, it can kind of be a bit jarring. But what we've got now instead is, I've now got it where we've updated it, where when you select one of these pieces, there is now a drop down here to show golden path, side path, or locked path. So it's much clearer in terms of, again, you being able to use this without having to change it to that of a number or an element like that. It has a drop down, being far more useful with that too. As you can see, we've also added some new ones. We've gone through and adding in that of a collapsing tunnel, so when players get towards maybe that of a mine entrance that you don't want them to go, the tunnel will collapse. We've got sound effects, things cave in, we'll demonstrate that shortly. As well as drawbridges, flipping that of a switch, the drawbridges rotate down, and then maybe you'll have some environmental hazards like that of these stalactites falling down for it as well. We have that of a new clamber for 2 meters height, which again, similar to that of the ladders or the ropes, you kind of walk towards. We have the orange placeholder for the ledge. It will then teleport your character up to where you want them for it. Elements like that, we've added audio feedback on that of buttons, keys, locks, and that of the enemy as well for it. So there's been quite a few updates for it, some more of the back end with optimization, changing the interactivity for it, others actually being that on new kind of placeable assets for that as well. As I said, we're now up to over it's about 350 assets in total, including that of audio files to that of blueprints and that of meshes as well. So if we go over to playground here, we don't save that, we can kind of see these working as well. And the reason that I want to show using one of these kits is it's not something I've set up, but really demonstrating how it can be used in different ways with different kits for it. So if we play with this character here, and I full screen that, if we walk over to the button, I'm hoping you can hear it because I know I've got music playing in the background, but let's see. So you can hear that as we're changing to green. Ooh. And then different kind of, I'm hoping you can hear that for it, but we can see that there. With this game controller, you can see Q and E are leaning for more shooting. I'm going to die now after triggering that off. Oh, Jesus. But we can also see when we open up the doors now, we have, say, a placeholder enemy. He kind of winces in pain and then drops after we've shot him for it. So instantly you can already see, and if you look here, even with our character model, again, I have not changed this other than dropped this in, we can see, okay, this actually works for what we want. It feels good metric-wise. I think I can change third person here, and again, feels pretty good for third person as well. It's a little bit bigger, but we've got to consider how maybe far the camera may be for it. So I've gone for a little bit more of more rather than less with that. But if we jump out now and then say let's replace this to a side path, change to green. If we get rid of this, drag in our locked one, for example. So we need to find a key. That there. And if we place the key, do they actually have anything in this demo scene? Let's go just place the key on the barrel here. Key. Now placing it on an explosive, probably not the best idea, but you'll see just how simple it is and working for it. So we now have our key here. We'll jump in and spawn. Now we can't open this door. So what we need to do instead is grab the key and then press E. Lock off, now giving us entry. Boom. Elements just like that there for it. So it's much easier kind of to just drag drop in there. As I said, there's some audio coming through. I hope you're able to hear that one. Adobe Works have also got that of the music playing in the background too. But there is definitely more around with it that we can play around with for this. If we even wanted to, let's just remove all this. And we'll put our quest giver here, and if we did a collapsing tunnel over on this side, and let's move the trigger volume for it so we can't miss it for that. So away we go. Let's just give myself something better in terms of weaponry. Come down. See the quest. We can tweak that. Come do to go here. And you can see our path is now blocked. That's a bigger tongue twister than I thought. Even blocking enemies here. So we can go through. Again, I have not designed any of the AI or the shooting. This already comes from the low poly shooter. I just want to show you how well it can quickly jump into whatever kind of controller you already may have pre-existing. So if we do quest number 2, if we call this kill all, help enemies on their way, protect us. Alright, there we go. And if we delete this one for now, jump on in. When we get close to him, kill all, enemy, help, enemies are on their way, protect us. Instantly we know. And then we can see some enemies will come around here. And for that, we'll move through. And elements like that, right? And then we can go start, if we wanted to, say start removing these elements, and maybe we put a lift here for it. And then if we grab our mesh architecture, let's grab this here and make that and we can instantly start blocking all these different elements in terms of floor architecture out with it as well. Also, you can just instantly see how much more interactivity you can just get by dragging and dropping in these pieces as well. for it, coming back down, flip to go back up. Elements like that instantly just kind of add a bit more space and life to what you're building there for it. So that's kind of what we've been working on for it. There's been updates with it, as I said, more pieces, more blueprints, new sounds for better feedback. All of these have really kind of shown through for it. So I hope that you have been enjoying this one as well for it. It is something that I feel is something that I'm really passionate about, making sure that you have all these pieces that instantly get you moving through, and I'm really excited to see more people use it as well. So I hope this has been interesting for you, and to see that even with its release there is still even more stuff coming out, stuff that I want to make better for it with that. And just a heads up as well, we're going to be doing, I believe, I can't tell if it's this month or next month, we've got an episode ready to kind of recommend more incredible Unreal Marketplace assets, mainly for level design for it. There's obviously other great places that recommend like gameplay and things, but hopefully it's again something that you see and enjoy for it, team. So thank you very much. I hope this has been fun for you. In terms of the podcast, I said what I was placing down was architecture pieces. We also had lifts in there going up and down. We had interactive of the buttons. We had tunnels collapsing, little placeholder enemies. If you don't have AI in there, just to show you can shoot, they collapse. And you can instantly, when you hit them, they give feedback, whether that be audio or text, saying ouch. Elements all like that, team. So I hope this again has been useful for it. And yeah, take care of yourself, and I'll catch you all. Oh, if you want to reach out to me, please do so at leveldesignlobby@gmail.com. Almost completely forgot. We have a new newsletter, so if you want to know more about level design tips and more about that, that's where I recommend going. We also have just created an account on Blue Sky. It's similar, well, the same handle as that on me on Twitter. So if you want to reach out to me there, you can do that at Max Pairs on either Twitter or Blue Sky for it. And thank you just very much for joining. I've got a link to this down below, as well as the low poly controller for it. So if you want to improve your level design, have more intriguing and more reliable resources, then head over to pick up the level design kit. Thank you everyone, and I'll catch you all next time.